95% of our lives are run and created by our subconscious mind programming. Imagine if your subconscious mind is running many negative, disempowering, and self-sabotaging programs. How will that 95% of your life turn out to be? Would you like help to change your subconscious programming into something that works for you and set it to attract and create everything you desire? Join Tamara Oviatt in her show Metaprogramming and the Human Biocomputer here on Om Times, where she will connect to the source energy and change your subconscious programming by deleting your negative belief systems. Tamara is the founder of Sacred Activations, a subconscious metaprogramming modality that rewires your brain and shifts hundreds of your belief systems so you can break away from lack, pain, and suffering and take control of what you want to create in your life. Tamara has helped hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, and she is here to help you too. It's not about fighting what you don't want. It's about creating what you do want. And the only way to do that is to change and upgrade your subconscious programming. Let Tamara help you create magic in your world. Tune in every week at Metaprogramming and the Human Biocomputer.
Hello, hi everybody. Lovely to have you with us this evening. My name is Ezio Savva, that's my full name. This is my sign name. You'll see that in the box to my side is my interpreter, Kate. She will be voicing over, so you'll be able to hear the voiceover if you're a hearing person, and if you're a deaf person, you'll be able to watch the signing happening at the same time. So hopefully you'll be able to keep both of us going at the same time. So I am deaf. I am a strong BSL user. I'll be doing Sacred Activations with you tonight. I'm a Sacred Activations teacher. I'm a strong believer in meeting different people and Sacred Activations and teaching them to everybody. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for coming along. I would like to explain how tonight's going to work tonight. First of all, let me introduce myself, and I'll tell you a little about my experiences and also about how it's going to work with the interpreter tonight. I'll tell you a bit about my theme for tonight, and then we will do the Sacred Activations itself. Hopefully you will enjoy yourself, as tonight is all about enjoyment and happiness. I'd like to say a big thank you to Om Time TV for giving me this space tonight. It's a real privilege. And thank you to Tamara as well for inviting me to be with you tonight. I'm going to have a lovely hour with you all, and I really appreciate that time. Some people who are joining us tonight are already Sacred Activations teachers. Some people may have no idea what Sacred Activations are, but I'm going to explain a bit to you now, hopefully. So the aim for Sacred Activations is to channel spiritual information and to try and improve on yourself, basically, from the inside. You can then control how you feel about your beliefs, limit any maybe emotional difficulties you're having and emotional barriers you're trying to overcome, and generally making it easier to cope and overcome any difficulties you're having. The power of Sacred Activations is to potentially identify problems and then run the program to take off those issues. I mean, maybe we only have control over 50% of our lives, as it were, but in our subconscious, programs are also running at the same time. And I truly believe that Sacred Activations can help us overcome barriers in our lives. As Tamara says, it can be very, very powerful and resolve a lot of difficulties within our communities. She runs lots of courses, lots of groups. So I would recommend anybody who's interested in getting involved with that goes and has a look. Debs will be putting the homepage web link into the chat, so you can just click on there and go straight to it and get yourself on any course that you find interesting. Let me also explain a little bit about tonight's topic. I will be signing, and then at the same time, the interpreter will be speaking. There will be a delay because she has to watch the signs first and then say what I'm saying. So our group today will be some practicing people, some not. I will be signing it, and then you can listen to the voice to know what to do to give equal access to everybody, whether you're hearing or deaf. Later on, if you've perhaps got a question, could you save it to the end for me? Because that's easier to manage. And then in terms of the technology, because we're on Zoom, it would be easier if you use, the computer hand up within Zoom, whether you're deaf or hearing, just so we know who's coming across next. Otherwise, the interpreter won't see you because there's so many of you, the list just goes on to several pages and they won't spot you. So hand up first, and then we can go with questions. So for the first part, I'm going to explain a bit about us. And for the sacred activations, normally people would close their eyes. You can do if you wish to. I probably won't as a deaf person, but whatever you feel comfortable with is absolutely fine. And when we get to the sacred activations bit, you can turn on your camera if you wish. So I can see you as well. Otherwise, I just have blank screens for everybody. So that's what I recommend. For a bit about me, I was born deaf and I've grown up. I've gone to deaf school. I've been to college, and then I went to hearing university, which was a struggle, to be honest. There were a lot of barriers for me as a deaf person. Maybe some of you already know my story. Maybe you've come to my previous version of this where I spoke. Perhaps you've watched it on the website, or maybe you've read the transcript about how I've confronted my fears, how I've campaigned, how I've fought for what I felt is right. And that all forms part of my story of who I am. So today I'll keep it brief for you. I work for a company called Femora, which is a social enterprise. I'm a teacher of Reiki and Sacred Activations and Akashic Records. I have a degree in law and social enterprise, first class. And business administration as well. Also working on an MA in interpreting. I've done lots of different things. Now, my main interest is sacred activations. So let me explain a little about tonight's theme. I was thinking for a long time about what topic I would like to do and what I would like to talk about. And I was looking for something tangible and something. Last time I felt I wanted to show the positive side of negativity, that you can fight against something that you feel is not right. But this time I decided to do something more simple and put it into words, something more achievable. So I went with happiness, because it's an everyday thing that we all experience, but we're not necessarily happy at all times. We do find stressful things. We do have a lot going on. Sometimes we might feel sad or angry or emotional or dealing with negative experiences, which made me really think about the concept of joy and why we can't switch just from being perhaps negative about something, how we can't wave a magic wand and suddenly just be all jolly and happy. Because there's already so much just going on. So I wanted to explore that concept a bit. Perhaps it's something that you've also looked into for yourself. I wanted to explore the word happiness and what it actually means as a dictionary definition. I used Webster's as the dictionary, and they said it was an emotion, and joy is synonymous with well-being and success and good fortune. So it's quite brief, just separate words which summed it all up. Happiness encompasses all of that, also well-being, and more widely, contentment, an overall feeling of satisfaction at your lot. So amazingly, in the spirit of perhaps coincidence, perhaps something else, the interpreter mentioned to me today that it's Mental Health Day today, which was just maybe a coincidence, I don't know, but promoting good mental health for everybody and well-being. And through that, I think focusing on joy is a key thing. A lot of people have experienced sadness and how to control that emotional difficulty. For people in the world, the statistics tell us that 800,000 people die of suicide every year. So that's nearly 1 million people. That's a lot of people. Which is also, it works out as the equivalent to one person every 40 seconds somebody dies. And there are many more attempts at suicide. People who want to kill themselves because of an absence of happiness and joy in their life. There's something fundamentally missing within those people's lives. I think joy is really crucial. Happiness is really important to people because it seems the mind can have a very powerful control over emotions. Perhaps they're suffering with grief. And I've been looking into that about the mind and how many people struggle with that, with their emotions. So one thing I've been looking at is the map of consciousness, which is created by a man called David Roden. And in that, it's a really good visual depiction of the emotions. And Tamara has actually got a version of that on her website as well. And anger and sadness all reside at the bottom of that table. They've got low vibrations. They're shown at the bottom, and happiness and joy are near the top. So if you imagine it's a bowl, at the bottom depths of that bowl, where all the crabs and the little sea animals live, they are always trying to crawl up, but maybe negativity or anger pulls them back down again. They try and get to the surface with a bit of joy, bit of happiness, and they slide back down again. And I feel sometimes life can be like that. It pulls you back down again as things go wrong. And I believe we need to try and counter that with some happiness and some joy. So I'm sure we've all experienced happiness and joy within our lives at some time, but you're not constantly having an amazing time. It's normally a fairly short-lived thing. And through society, it's not encouraged to be super, super happy all the time, because something will happen on the news or something in your own life situation that makes you angry or sad. And I think meditation is a really good thing to equal us out a bit in different situations and different communities. If we want to build ourselves up to a more positive emotional state, we need to encourage the use of sacred activations to try and get ourselves to that point. On the website, it's really interesting that the sacred activations you can use yourself from the spiritual, from whatever source, wherever you believe it comes from. It could be Elohim, it could be from just a higher power. You can use that and channel it, and you can sort of increase your points, of your emotional points. So you can go from maybe 500 to 1,000 from elation and joy, starting from the very bottom with the anger and shame. Shame is at the very bottom. That's only 20 points. Guilt is only slightly above that. Apathy above that. Grief. And even by then, you're only at 75. Fear is at 100. So in order to be on your road to positivity, you need to be basically above 200 points. And through sacred activations, to get to the more positive end of things, at 500 to 1,000, 500 you're at love, 600 you're at peace. And I think happiness, the concept of happiness, must lie somewhere between 700 and 1,000 emotional points. But some people think with a sacred activation, it's only a meditation, but I actually think it's something quite different. It's not hypnosis, it's just channeling the energies. As Tamara found, it really worked. Without her, I'd never found sacred activations. I wouldn't have found the value in it without her help. It's helped me to reassess things and sort of clear out my own internal emotions and consciousness and adjust the way I think about things and be more positive. It gives us a tool to unblock things, to untangle our emotional web. And that's enabled me to have more positivity in my subconsciousness and to change my situation. Maybe you've got a lot of emotional baggage that you're carrying around with you, but through the use of sacred activations, you can clear that all out. There's a report being created recently called the World Happiness Report, which has literally assessed how happy people feel. And they've researched in 2021, and they found that only a small part of the world's population would consider themselves happy overall. I'm sure you've all felt, well, I'm a bit happy. I've had happiness, or there's difficult times, some positive times. I can appreciate that myself. And maybe you think, well, I'd like to emulate that. I'd like to be one of the happy people as well. Some countries have been found to have a higher level of happiness than others, particularly Denmark, Finland, and Switzerland. They're at the top of the list of the most happy people, according to this survey. But on average, most people feel a bit sad, a bit angry, a bit negative most of the time, which has been termed an emotional deficit overall within the country, which is quite shocking, I find. And I think there's an urgent need for change. We need to get ourselves the tools to bring ourselves more happiness and more joy. We need to resolve that. And I think the tool is sacred activations. That will bridge our path from the emotional deficit over to joy. And we're not considering it as individuals, it's a communal effect. And as the sacred activations spread, that'll change the overall vibrations out there. If we can bring those vibrations up to a higher level, we will all feel more happy. So happiness and enjoyment doesn't have to just be a word, doesn't have to be just a superficial concept that you're absolutely ecstatic all of the time. That's not realistic. You need to look at yourself, what you've got inside. Just, am I too sad? Have I grown up with a lot of sad emotions, a lot of sad memories? I can remember being young and like smiling all the time, and people saying, you need to stop smiling, why are you so grumpy? There's two extremes. It was always too much, and then have to find a mid ground that you don't have to be a massive grin all the time. Everyone has their ups and downs. And it's learning about the right level that you feel comfortable showing your happiness. I think also within society, there's been a change about expectations. And the more you practice to raise your emotional level, the more happy you will feel. Some people who are feeling maybe shame or grief or guilt or loneliness, I think they need to be shown how to move up the scale. It'll be different for each individual. Because you've got to assess where you're at and where you need to move up from. Some people are already quite happy, and then with the sacred activation, they'll just go even happier. But the aim is to raise everyone up a bit. You don't have to all be totally jolly all the time or every day even, but my recommendation for you will be to take these things on board, to give yourselves the tools to be a bit more cheerful maybe, or to make a bad situation better as you go. For me, I found the more times I've done the sacred activations, the more times I've been able to clear things out and deal with things and recognize potential issues I have that need resolving later. So it's something you can come back to many, many times. You can keep the transcript, you can keep the recording, and you can just pop in anytime you feel it's getting all a bit overwhelming, something you can't cope with. Please just think back to the sacred activations and think about your own personal practice. You could arrange to meet with someone to do a sacred activation together. That might be a helpful way for you to control those emotions and to deal with them. So happiness and joy doesn't necessarily have to be bouncing around, very, very happy. It's just a warm feeling inside, perhaps learning from other things that you need to process. It's a skill. There could be anger and fear and sadness in there for some reason. But you can become more skilled at that. Same as society, you can spread happiness more widely. I strongly believe that you can fix these things inside yourself, which perhaps you're struggling with. So, after that introduction, I feel I am now ready to start the sacred activations if everybody's comfortable and ready to go. So, perhaps a new thing will come to me while you can sit or you can stand or whichever is more comfortable for you. I will say the name of it and the interpreter will try and follow me. And then I will set off the sacred activation. This is how I do it for the deaf people to know that it's starting. As a hearing person, it's up to you. If you want to close your eyes or keep them open, that's absolutely fine. As we go through the process, when we get about halfway, we'll have a little break and then we will continue for part 2. Hopefully at the end, we'll then have time for a little bit of questioning if you want to ask anything. But right now, if you're all ready, let's make a start. So when we're thinking about joy, one of the things we need to start with is inner peace. So the sacred activation that we're going to do for the group, first of all, is inner peace. This is very cleansing inside to deal with things that need to be taken off in order to find that inner peace. You need to clear away things that are getting in your way and leave the space open for your own internal peace. Think about the peace as being something very deep inside you. Don't let your emotions cloud it. Just get the emotions out and then leave the way clear for inner peace. Feel the energy, feel a lovely warm energy rising up inside you. So the next activation is bleeding heart activation. And that follows by trust activation. So at the same time, we also need to run the self-sabotage deactivation to clear off all long-held beliefs that have been causing issues. Maybe life's been hard, there's struggles, things that have been getting in the way of your achievement of joy. Then next will be free yourself from all the limitations, all the barriers in life, maybe barriers to love, to health, any issues that are getting in the way of your acquiring joy. Also coming to me now is any fear, any anger, any guilt that you're holding on to. That's sacred activations to clear out any emotions that you're holding on to that you would like to get rid of at this point. Linked to happiness and problems, maybe blockages, is issues with gut health. So I think at this point we should run the digestive system upgrade. There's been a request come into the chat about shame and judgments. So let's run the shame and humiliation. Sorry about my spelling if that's wrong, but shame and humiliation activation. Let's run that as well while we're here. Feel the energy flow as we're doing it. Maybe you felt a lot of competitive issues and a lack and limitation. Run that as well. And competition activation as well. Feel letting go of the competition. Next activation is learning through suffering. Self-love activation, run that one too. Truth about activation. I can't remember the exact English words for that one, but the revealing the truth about things activation. There we go. Unmasked. Thank you in the chat there. Unmasked. Yes, that one. The unmasked emotions. We must have been on the same wavelength there. Thank you. Sacred Heart activation. Run that one as well. Now we're going to, in part 2, we're going to be moving on to happiness and those types of activations. But first of all, we're going to have a short break and go to an advert for Om Time TV.
Om Times TV. Do you want to go deeper into Sacred Activations, which is a subconscious metaprogramming process? Tamra Oviatt is inviting you to visit her website at tamraoviatt.com to sign up and get lifetime access to 3 free activations that you can listen to anytime you want or as often as you need. If you like what Tamra does and like to incorporate sacred activations into your life, she also offers live webinars, masterclasses, and practitioners training to further support your healing, manifestations, and expansion. There are hundreds of activations on her website that address different aspects of your life: money, health, relationships, intuitive abilities, and more. Head over to her website at tamraoviatt.com and experience the magic of sacred activations. Thank you for listening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize, and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And for everybody who's found this useful, found this interesting, have a look on Tamra's website about all the courses, all the information. There's lots of support out there. If you liked the feel of this group, if you've enjoyed yourself, make contact through the website. And also YouTube has a lot of different clips you might enjoy as well. And after the break, we're now ready to move on to the next activation for part 2. An important thing to think about is to give yourself a break. Your mind's so busy, it's fizzing with all the energy. You need to let it cool down a little bit. And then we'll move on to your heart and making contact with your heart, linking up to your heart. And linking to Central Sun as well. The beauty of Central Sun and the power that can bring you linking back to your heart. If you're ready, let's run that. And then we move on to the key activation next is happiness, the crux of my whole presentation, happiness activation. So in terms of things to keep in mind, you want to achieve happiness. That's a key thing in life. And I want to support you through sacred activations to achieve that happiness. So any negative emotions that you are aware of, we need to clear those off, feel the cleansing of those emotions, negative emotions, clear them away and clear a path to happiness. So Christ consciousness activation, activate that. So if you feel unworthiness, you need to do that deactivation of the unworthiness. You need to clear off the unworthiness to clear the space for the happiness to come in. Maybe you've got emotional trauma throughout your life that have made you feel unhappy. So maybe you need to focus on those things, perhaps now PTSD activation to deal with those emotions that are causing you trouble. Self-judgment, that activation to clear off any self-judgment you have, assessing yourself, finding yourself wanting, clear that off. I can feel a lot of energy flowing. I can feel good energy flowing in vast amounts today. The next sacred activation is very powerful. Clear off all judgment and all limitations that maybe are making you feel stuck. And if you feel zapped of energy, you need to run the patience. Good things will come to you if you have patience. So run the patience activation. This will help with many, many negative energies coming towards you. I've done it myself. I've been able to clear things off, maybe from a past life, maybe from previous emotions. It can be very strong, this activation, to clear things off that are getting in your way. So patience and happiness are very closely linked. Happy, happy, joy, joy. This activation, particularly if you feel stuck, then this can be a really useful activation to unstick yourself and can be run at the same time as the patience one. I feel something sort of like a tightness in my stomach. I feel problems are holding people back to getting to the happiness. Perhaps it's to do with family. So, family karma activation. Run that one as well. Also, mother love. Let's run that activation at the same time. And another activation I've just thought of here, linked to finances. I think somebody said this in the chat as well. The caste system, money, and family activations. Run all of those simultaneously as well. And abandonment as well. Run that activation as well. So soon we'll be ramping up the energy to increase the emotional energy we all have in our reserves. Father love as well. Yes, that activation could be run. That would be very relevant here. And this is all on the path to happy, happy, joy, joy activation, which we can also run. And to feel the Buddha compassion activation. That's very powerful. That brings a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. So I think that would be valuable to run as well. Next one, paradise activation. So very spiritual, feel that's very important to connect with that. And another one's just come to me as well. Being present and listening. And breathing and peace. We're nearly there now. We've done a lot of activations. I think we're almost done. Keep that energy high, feel it boosting you up. Some of you might find this very difficult. You may not have achieved happiness yet. Another one that might help is the grass is always greener activation. One activation I've received very recently is the smile, smile and Buddha smile as well. Both of those have recently come to me. Very powerful activations. I hope you can all feel the energy coming into you. I want to say thank you very much to the happiness coming in towards me, bringing that into my life. I can't say thank you enough, really, for all the people that have brought happiness to my life. I think one important tip is giving thanks to feel satisfied inside. Now I think we should go back to grounding. I think that's also important, to connect with Mother Earth, to unite your energy into the ground, go deep into Mother Earth, give love from your heart to Mother Earth and feel it coming straight back to you. Same for Father Earth, either. Give your thanks for connecting to that energy now. I suggest that you use the happy, happy, joy, joy activation regularly, a couple of times in the next couple of weeks. Maybe it hasn't worked instantly, but as you use it more and more, it will work for you. I recommend, if you're interested, go and maybe do a level 1 Sacred Activations course. And the more you practice, the more it'll work, and you will receive more activations. You will learn how to do those with practice. It can be very, very powerful. And then you'll only realize how important it is to you once you do them. On Tamara's website, I think there's a lot of activations listed there. And I think there's a space to put your email address to book yourself in and to get news bulletins from her of the various things that are coming up. I am deaf myself. I can teach level 1 and level 2 sacred activations to deaf people. So if you use BSL, that would work. I will be doing a medical activations in January. And I've done some courses quite recently. And you can have a look on Tamara's website for these as well. I'd like to say thank you very much to Tamara again for inviting me. And now I'd like to turn it over to all of you and see if there's any questions in the chat that people would like to ask. I think there was one earlier that came up about female reproductive issues. I think there are lots of activations that are relevant to the body and cover that type of area. That would be in the medical activations area. So if you have a look for that, that will answer your questions on the suitable activations. If you have any questions, I can see a deaf person has her hand up, which is Lucy. She's wearing green. I can see you've got your physical hand up there, Lucy. If you could pin her, that would be very useful, please, Debs. Okay. Okay, I think Lucy is pinned for you, but I can't see her, so just give me a second. Go on, Lucy, if you sign, Lucy, sign, and then we'll try and catch it on the way past. So Lucy's running a sacred activation for yourself and for outside. And let me just go back to Ezio to get the response, because I can only pin one of them at a time. So hang on, I'm going back to Ezio for a reply now. Got you. So yes, you can do activations about things. You could do it outside. You can do it. It doesn't have to be just about yourself. You can run any program that you want to. You can learn more about it on the course. It can work for social things. It can work as things will come to you. Yes, it can work for anything. Thank you very much for your question. Anybody else who wants to ask a question? I can see another one in the chat. If you want to learn more, I think the course is the way to go, and then it's practice after that. I think that would be really valuable to everyone. Did another person have their hand up? I'm not sure, but there is something in the chat. So you can play activations, he's just reading the chat now, in the background while you're working with other people. Or do you need to focus only on the activation at the same time? I would say when you receive the activation, you could be in a group or you could be working with someone else. I would say don't try and run the activation before you go on the course. He's just going to put it in the chat, the name of the thing I need. The gold seals. That course will teach you how to run activations for other people. That would be a useful course for you. Get some more information from the website. That would be great. There's another person who's got their hand up, which is Delith. She's wearing a black top but I haven't found her yet. Hang on a second. I'm getting there. I'm just going to repin. Hang on a second. Okay. So, wow, she says, I feel really, really different. I feel happy. I feel a warm energy. I feel very different from before. I can really feel the power. So I just want to say thank you very much. And when I feel it, it's really hard to put even into words, but I just feel, wow, I feel very happy. Thank you very much. That's fantastic to hear. Ezio says, I'm glad that you can feel from your source, you've received that. I'm really pleased that it worked for you. And thank you very much for attending. Anybody else with hands up? I can't see anymore, but you might be there and I just can't see you. I can see quite a lot of comments in the chat, which is lovely. Some very positive comments, some thanks, which I appreciate. Thank you very much. So the less pain activation someone's mentioned, that's a good shout. Yeah. And they're saying they feel less pain now. And 10 out of 10. Thank you very much. One person says they like the concept of Father and Mother Earth there. And somebody else has asked about the bleeding heart. What does that mean? It's about feeling that you work really hard, you're giving to other people all of the time, you're exhausted, and it helps you heal your heart, sort of bring yourself back to focus on your own heart, giving less of yourself, disconnecting yourself from other people and focusing back on yourself and sort of regenerating, giving the strength back to yourself. That's my understanding of the bleeding heart activation. Other people might have different views, but that's how I frame it. Another person says they feel very happy. They feel perhaps there's somebody at the bottom here saying they can feel heaviness in their chest. I felt that at the weekend, to be honest, but I think by running the activation to clear things off has helped me. Maybe you're holding on to negative emotions and they feel a bit stuck. That can be difficult. That can block the happiness coming through. So if you're feeling that, I think it's part of acceptance. Take that on board and try and resolve. It should go shortly. And well done for sort of acknowledging that feeling, for feeling the emotions in there. And then Delith has just put her hand up, but there's also a couple more in the chat. I've written down things, questions have. I can't see Delith at the same time. Can you re-sign for me, Delith? I can't see. Hang on, I need to move to see her. Hang on. Okay. So one thing you can do just as a physical thing is laugh more, stretch your face more, just kind of teach yourself to express more emotion in your jaw. I can feel I've been smiling a lot while you've been doing this talk for tonight. You can feel it in your throat. Quite often I do feel it in my throat, as Ezio is replying. And the power of the activation through your chakra and your jaw as well. I mean, like you say, laughter can be a good medicine. Maybe you could do the laughing activation to be more expressive. Maybe you felt previously that you couldn't laugh, you weren't comfortable to express your happiness. So your jaw can be linked to holding the tension there. But if you can focus on the sacred activation to clear that feeling, that could work. Any other the Christ consciousness activation, yeah. That's one that Tamara runs. There's 3. And the 4th one is the Christ consciousness. I feel when you take that on board, it's visual, as if somebody's coming towards me to deliver information. And that's linked to 5D in terms of consciousness. It's to do with emotions. Maybe you're feeling upset or stressed. Normally, we obviously work in 3D, but the Christ consciousness helps to release and move on to 5D. It can affect behavior. It's not that somebody's above or below, it's everyone's on an equal level, but that helps me feel free. I just thought I'd add that one in there to help everybody who's feeling trapped maybe in their emotions to move over into 5D. That's why I channeled that one and dropped that one in as an activation. There's more information in the level 1 course if you wish to find out more about that. There's another question about an intuition activation. I think yes, there is. I feel there are many things. There's lots of questions come up today. But yes, there is intuition activation. I think we're pretty much out of time. I can't really go into the details of it now. Another comment mentions the new moon is coming soon, and that can affect us as humans. There's also an activation specifically linked to that. So I think maybe that's coming up as a good time to use it to weaken the effect that the moon has on us and free us from that. So you could also run that, would be another suggestion. Somebody's just saying about Christ consciousness is a huge thing. Thank you very much and many blessings. So thank you to everybody. And I think now we're going to stop. And I don't know if Debs and Tamara want to say anything, but I just want to say thank you very much for letting me be here tonight. And thank you, everybody. I hope I will come along with another theme in the future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.